Hello, it's Lisa, your podcaster here with the receipts. Before we get into this today, there's been an important development. The House Oversight Committee is expanding its Epstein inquiry and has requested a voluntary interview with Sarah Kellen, the focus of this episode, and it's scheduled for June 3. Kellen, widely described as one of Ghislaine Maxwell's closest lieutenants, has largely stayed out of public view since securing immunity many years ago. Congress isn't bound by the same limitations as the federal prosecutors. Their scope is broader: structure, facilitation, and institutional failures. So, as we revisit Sarah's proffer document with the FBI, understand this. The story's not closed yet. Lawmakers clearly think there's more to examine. And if you want more information on Sarah, I have been writing about her since 2020. Go to my website. I'm a journalist who has been reporting on Epstein since 2019. Feels like a lifetime ago. Now, today I'm here to talk about Sarah Kellen, who's also known as Sarah Bonk, Sarah Lee Kensington, and Sarah Vickers. And she's been described in court filings as one of Epstein's key coordinators. According to sources, the public sources, including the Epstein files, and today I'm hoping to give you information that you have not heard before about her. That is the aim of the receipts, to give you this kind of information that's not known in the Epstein world. So let's start. From 2001 to 2013, she worked for Epstein in his offices across the globe. She handled calendars, travel logistics, and appointments. Now, also, I put an episode out a couple of days ago about Leslie Groff, his main executive assistant. So listen to that if you haven't heard it yet. Now, Sarah was named one of his unindicted co-conspirators in the 2008 Florida non-prosecution agreement. In 2021, a federal judge described Kellen as, quote, a knowing participant in the criminal conspiracy. Now, this is during Ghislaine Maxwell's sentencing procedures, and the judge was highlighting how closely her activities were tied to the Epstein trafficking network. But despite all these allegations, you'll never guess what happened. Newsflash. Kellen has not faced any criminal charges and has publicly denied any wrongdoing. What I have for you today is, as I said, Sarah from her proffer agreement with the FBI and some of her emails with Epstein. Now, why is this important? The lawyer Spencer Cooven, who represents several accusers, told the New York Times, quote, Sarah was running that organization, bringing girls and getting them in and out of the Palm Beach home. On Lifetime's documentary, Saving Jeffrey Epstein, the former Jehovah's Witness was quoted as saying she was very sorry for any hurt that she may have caused. But is this really how she feels about her role in the Epstein machinery? Let's examine her own words. We'll start with an email exchange from 2013 with Epstein. As well, there's an email her now ex-husband, but he wasn't at the time, he wrote to one of the survivors in 2020. No one has got this. So this is insider info for you. So we start with an email from Epstein dated May 5, 2013. Epstein, who did the tablecloths from the dining room? I want to make black Chinese ones. I am leaving for the island tomorrow at 4. This is silly. You are family to me and you have checked out. I should have set a move out day, a last salary day. I will continue to pay SLK Designs, that's her interior design company, for a while if that helps. You haven't dealt with any of your life issues that you and I have spent many hours discussing. I'm not sure what to do. Prenup, job, career. For months now, you have focused the vast amount of your attention on the food, decorations, and details for a party. I've sent many emails telling you of my concerns. You have chosen to either ignore or delay responding. You were my most trusted friend. Not sure what to do. Suggestions. Kellen responds about the tablecloths. I'm not sure if you want to hear that. It's not very exciting. But she says, I appreciate and am very grateful for all your support and generosity in every aspect of my life. Now, this is me, Lisa, here. I have noticed if Epstein does you a favor or gives you something, you basically have to get down on your knees and thank him profusely because it's never enough. He's just an extremely manipulative character. Sarah, now, it's been a bit of an emotional roller coaster for me the past few months, dealing with transitioning into a new life and everything changing for me in my life. It's very exciting, but extremely stressful and confusing at the same time, not to mention traveling every 2 to 3 days to some remote town around the country, trying to figure out how to have my own identity in these new surroundings and new life with all new people around me. It hasn't been easy and I haven't figured it out yet. Yes, the wedding planning has taken most of my free time, but it's temporary. I will hopefully be a one-time occurrence in my life and I want it to be special. And since I've never planned a real wedding before, it's taking a bit more time and there's a lot more involved than just any old party. I'm OCD. I want to be perfect. I have done a lot of thought about what to do next. I don't know yet. I have to try and figure something out which I can do on the road. I've discussed more projects with Catherine, which would involve a website, which would need to be updated and managed every week, which would be something I can just do with my computer. Even though it doesn't make money, it will be good to have a skill to practice with. My life is making a 180-degree change. It's going to take time to adapt and figure out the best way to make a transition. You are my family and my most trusted friend as well. This hasn't changed. I'm sorry if I've been distant. I'm just trying to figure it all out. Okay, so now we're going to move along to an email exchange between Kellen and Epstein dated the 8th of January 2015, and it follows some stories that have come out in the tabloid press about the Epstein case. So this is Sarah Kellen. Just landed in New York. We'll call you as soon as I can. We are going to hire a PR firm to help with the latest articles. I will also need to hire a lawyer to make sure everything I say is okay. I'm sick of not saying anything. I've written down a few thoughts on the plane. I'm sure it's too much info, but here is the first draft. I vehemently deny any allegations. Now, this is Lisa here. I just want to give you a tip. The word vehemently, if someone says they vehemently deny, in my opinion, they're playing fast and loose with the truth. Prince Andrew uses vehemently all the time as well. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, I'm sorry. I vehemently deny any allegations that I so-called, quote, helped procure for Jeffrey Epstein. I used to be an executive assistant who scheduled appointments for Mr. E. Some of these appointments were for massages. I was never privy to what took place during those massages. I never had anyone complain to me that something untoward was happening, nor did I ever witness anything questionable take place. I had never seen any of these masseuses before until they arrived at the house of their own accord. They certainly didn't look underage to me. I knew nothing about them. I never spoke to them other than to schedule massage appointments. I'm sorry if these women now regret their actions and professions, but I had nothing to do with it. I'm sure the allure of making millions off their regrettable decisions is enticing, especially when their lawyers are willing to do the work for free to make a name for themselves. I've been unfairly victimised by these Jane Does, whom I don't even know who they are, their lawyers, and by media making up endless lies about me and making up outrageous allegations, all because I followed the advice of my lawyers to plead the fifth for every single question asked of me, even a question as simple as, what is your name? I pled the fifth in a civil suit, which I was subpoenaed for. I was a young woman whom all of a sudden my name was caught up in something that I had no involvement in. I wanted nothing more than to answer all the questions asked of me by those unscrupulous lawyers, but it felt it was best to follow the advice of my own lawyers to plead the fifth. What did I know about the legal system? So that's what I did, and I'm still paying the price 9 years later. I'm tired of allowing the media to abuse me to sell newspapers and not defending myself against it. True, I once worked for Jeffrey Epstein and lived in an apartment on 66th Street. I started my interior design business in 2006 while working for Jeffrey Epstein. Since I couldn't afford a separate office at the time, I used my home address for my business address. I no longer live at that address, nor have I conducted business from that address for many years. Yes, I changed my name, Lisa in brackets, many times, because I wanted to distance myself from my family who disowned me over not being the same religion as them. It was too painful for me to use the same last name as my parents and siblings who didn't want me to be part of their family anymore. If your family wasn't willing to speak to you over not wanting to be a Jehovah's Witness, would you want to keep the same last name as them? Yes, I was married once before to my first boyfriend when I was a 17-year-old woman. That's interesting. 17-year-old woman, okay. My family's religion didn't allow me to date, so getting married was the only way to have a normal relationship with a man. This lasted 4 years until he filed for divorce. Divorce is not allowed in the religion, thus the elders disfellowshipped me from my congregation. My family stopped speaking to me, and all my friends from childhood never spoke to me again. If the press can't get these simple facts correct, how can we believe anything else they're writing about? Epstein responds, same day, Thursday, the 8th of January 2015. Not advisable yet, it's a trap. No one cares re-truth. Most people know it's bull, but like a celebrity divorce, they watch and eat popcorn. You will not change a single mind. When this blows over, you can and should, and I will help you put something out, but not while the wind is blowing so strongly. So now we're going to start with Sarah Kellen's proffer with the FBI, and it was taken on the 23rd of the 4th, 2020. Sarah Kellen, date of birth, redacted, was interviewed pursuant to a proffer agreement at redacted. Present for the interview was redacted, attorneys, legal team including redacted, along with AUSA, redacted, AUSA, redacted, and special agent, redacted. After being advised of the identities of the above listed individuals and the nature of the interview, Sarah provided the following information. Sarah wanted to provide clarification from her last interview. I can't find that. I've been trying to go all these back ways into the files, into the emails, cannot find her last interview. But if you can find it, please let me know at Lisa Podcasts on Twitter. In regards to when she first learned about the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein, saying that her feelings were a progression. Redacted received a payment from Epstein in late 2018. In September 2014, Sarah and, pretty sure this is Brian Vickers, her husband, renovated their apartment. Now there's a whole lot there that's redacted. It's 3 or 4 lines. So it says here, Sarah and Brian were left with a gutted apartment and could not get a bank loan. When Sarah stopped working for Epstein, they still talk regularly and visiting together when he was in town. Sarah spoke to Epstein monthly. Sarah spoke to Epstein about their situation. Sarah asked Redacted to borrow money from Epstein. They were waiting for stocks to go public and it kept getting delayed. This makes sense because Brian Vickers at this point in time was an investor in a company that was about to go public on the NASDAQ. At the end of November 2018, Sarah met Epstein at his New York house and told him about their financials, saying she only had $100,000 in her bank account. I've been sounding off about that a bit on Twitter, actually. She only had $100,000 in a bank account. While Sarah was meeting with Epstein, he picked up the phone and called his accountant, Richard Kahn, to wire her $250,000. This meeting with Epstein happened because Leslie Groff told her to come in and meet him if she was in New York. Epstein told Sarah not to worry. Epstein told Sarah not to tell anyone about giving her the money. but did not tell her why she should not tell anyone. Redacted, Sarah assumed it was because Epstein did not want Sarah to feel bad about it. Sarah and Brian kept separate finances. Epstein also gave Sarah $100,000 when, I know this one too because I've seen the emails, when they were married in Jackson's Hole in 2013. She wore Vera Wang. Sarah did not think she'd received any other money for Epstein. Sarah told Brian and redacted about having received money from Epstein. Redacted called and redacted told her that he gave her $100,000. Redacted then told redacted that Epstein gave her money as well. Redacted told redacted that Epstein called her and asked her if she could use or needed money. Right, there's a whole sentence blacked out here. Sarah thought that Epstein was just feeling generous with them. No, not Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, so now we've got about 6 lines that's completely redacted. Sarah would see Epstein once every few months, depending on where they both were at the time. Sarah told Epstein that it was, quote, it was rough. Epstein came to Miami to meet with an architect and to help Sarah. Sarah thought this was in early 2018, months before their conversation in November. Sarah had asked Epstein to come to her apartment in Miami. Sarah gave Epstein a rundown of the renovations, burn rate, and cash. Epstein told them that he did not see how they could keep the apartment, saying it did not add up. Epstein told her that she cannot put her head in the sand. Now, this is interesting because they were in an apartment in Miami, and then they moved to a one-bedder in 2021, and that one-bedder was only in Brian's name. So I'm not sure exactly what happened with this other apartment. Epstein told Sarah she would always be safe and he would always take care of her. Epstein sent Sarah an email once saying, quote, 100% safe. 3 lines and now redacted. Sarah brought up the financial discussion with Epstein. Sarah did not know what Epstein wanted to talk to her about when Groff called. Sarah did not ask Epstein for money. Epstein had another meeting after he met with Sarah. Sarah thanked Epstein and sent an email after thanking him. Sarah lent the money to redacted. Redacted did not report the money on taxes. Redacted was not sure how reporting on the taxes worked. Excuse me, I think that last one was Sarah. Redacted understanding was that Epstein would have to pay the taxes on the money he gave her. In April 2018, Sarah was aware of a reporter looking into Epstein. The day the article in the Miami Herald came out, she had been aware that someone was looking into Epstein. The article came out before Sarah met with Epstein in November. Sarah thought that she and Epstein may have acknowledged it, but did not talk about it in depth. Sarah remembered skimming through the article. Yeah, sure. I don't believe that. Sarah did not remember what she and Epstein said about the article. It was not a topic of conversation. Okay. Sarah did not think they talked about it afterwards either. Redacted and Redacted talked about it, but not specifically about the article. Sarah and Redacted wanted to figure out the best way to tell their own stories. Sarah had thought about writing a book and told Epstein, in which he told her it was a good idea. Sarah did not associate the $250,000 she received from Epstein to the article from the Miami Herald because Epstein was always so generous to people. Sarah was stressed about her finances and felt that Epstein was trying to be helpful. Sarah did not know that she viewed it in any other way. Sarah had told Epstein that a journalist reached out. Sarah did not recall Epstein saying anything about it. Epstein did not tell Sarah not to talk to anyone. The first time Sarah remembered being on the island after redacted, Epstein asked her to make him a bath. Oh, we've jumped ahead now, haven't we? Redacted, 1 full line, because Sarah worked in her building. Sarah thought that when Epstein started dating Redacted, He just had redacted sleep with him with no sexual contact. On the island, Maxwell had approximately 4 girls, including redacted, and redacted, on the island for Epstein's birthday. Sarah viewed redacted as Epstein's girlfriend. Maxwell always made comments and jokes about sex. She was outwardly very open about it. Maxwell said she'd gone to a BJ class. Maxwell offered to demonstrate what she'd learnt. Maxwell discussed this very generally out at the common table. Sarah did not remember who was all present for this conversation. Sarah did not know if Maxwell engaged in other contact with other women. When Sarah first started, Maxwell made a comment to her like, quote, "Listen to what Jeffrey says. He knows what he's doing. He's very successful. You do well to listen to what he has to say." Maxwell was Epstein's girlfriend. Maxwell approved the bills, ran all of Epstein's houses, and was in control of everything. One of Sarah's previous boyfriends was Epstein's paralegal, who she'd met through Epstein. From 2013 to 2018, Sarah received 2 large payments, $100,000 and $250,000 from Epstein. Sarah had to sign a healthcare proxy so that if anything happened to her, Maxwell and Epstein would be responsible for her well-being. They did not want her family to be responsible. Sarah thought this was Maxwell's idea, but she wasn't sure. Sarah also had to sign a confidentiality agreement. Sarah visited Epstein when he was under house arrest in Palm Beach. Epstein would get massages from redacted or whoever was traveling. There's a paragraph here, about 7 lines, that's completely redacted. Epstein paid for lawyers for Sarah. One of the lawyers was redacted. This was after Epstein went to jail and there were civil suits. Sarah thought she may have been deposed while he was in jail. When redacted had a lawsuit against Maxwell, Sarah was told by Epstein's in-house counsel, Darren Endyke, to find a lawyer and Epstein would pay for it. Redacted paid for some of the expenses of the lawyer. The lawyer was redacted, but he eventually stopped representing Sarah because he wasn't getting paid. So from approximately 2013 to 2020, Sarah Kellen was married to a former NASCAR driver by the name of Brian Vickers. Now, he sent an email in around 2020 following news about one of the Epstein survivors being very unwell. Now, I saw this email at the time and we were trying to work out what it was all about. Now, I'm going to read it to you. I'll be interested to hear what you think. "I was saddened to read about your health challenges, especially after having gone through so much in your life already. You were specifically on my mind and heart during my meditation today, and I felt compelled to reach out to you to see if I can help more. We do not know each other, but having been a survivor of multiple major death health issues myself, plus having a wife that was completely abandoned by her family over a cult at a young age, then abused, trafficked, and essayed, right? I was specifically moved by your own story of abuse and recent life/health challenges. I will never be able to imagine what you and my wife have suffered, but watching my wife for many years cry herself to sleep on and off for 8 years, I can only imagine. What you have both suffered is a deep passion of ours, hence why I'm also on the board of a foundation called Families Against Cult Teachings. We target cults and trafficking around them by shining a light on the abusers, the issues surrounding them, the failures in government policy, and even going after them directly. Most of all, we try our best to support victims by any means we can. If you ever need support from FACT, please let me know or feel free to reach out to the foundation directly. What I can relate to, though, is your health challenges. I've been very blessed in my life in many ways, but also suffered tremendously in my life. I have spent a lot of years in and out of hospitals personally, plus having worked closely with many doctors, hospitals, pharmaceutical companies and charities trying to support and care to people in need. It has provided me with a lot of connections and insights in the medical field, including a few of the world's most respected brain surgeons. So this is Lisa here. Brian Vickers had 2 incidents where he nearly died from blood clots. So I don't know if that's linked in any way to brain surgeons. I'm not sure. I hope you have great medical care already, but if you need or want a second or third opinion, I'm happy to connect you with some of my relationships in the medical field. I've done it for many, many people over the years. I've been the recipient of friends and strangers alike supporting and guiding me through my personal health and life challenges. The greatest way I can thank them is to pay it forward. Second, you should never add stress to your plate by feeling obligated to respond to everyone or thank them honestly, at least not right now while you're at war. If they are really just sending you well wishes and support, they will never be upset if you saved your energy for the flight ahead. In the meantime, we will be sending you nothing but love and support. All the best, Brian Vickers. I would like to believe that. This is from 2020, but in 2019, Brian Vickers sent an email to Jeffrey Epstein that said, "Happy Valentine's Day, buddy." So there's not much of a gap between the two, is there? I've told Brian Vickers I really want to talk to him. I have many, many questions for him. What was his life like living with Sarah during this whole process? Why did the relationship break down? What was his relationship with Epstein like? Was it a personal relationship, a financial relationship, or something else? I have so many questions. Now, I've written about Brian Vickers on my website as well, which is www.whowasjeffreyepstein.com. You can go and have a look there and search through the archives. There are just so many, as we know, missing pieces, but it's fascinating now that we may see Sarah. She gave a deposition in 2010. You may recall it, spoke about it earlier. Now, she only pled the 5th, but it sounded to me like in that email I read you from Epstein that she regretted pleading the 5th on everything. So who knows what we're going to hear? I mean, she's obligated to turn up for the hearings, but Wexner has. Everyone's got to turn up there. You've got the Clintons as well. Now we're looking at Leon Black, the billionaire, buddy of Epstein. So I think that she will be obligated, a societal contract, you might say, to turn up there on the day. But she's not obliged to tell them anything, as we could see from Ghislaine Maxwell. Anyway, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Make sure you follow my podcast or my YouTube channel. I would really appreciate it. And what is going to happen next in Planet Epstein? Never a dull moment, is it? So have a fabulous week, and I will be talking to you really soon. And if you want to contact me, I'm on Twitter at Lisa Podcasts. So thanks. Bye.